Does anyone remember like the beginning of this year when Apple was like, we need to cut down on leaks. There's too many leaks going on. We need to prevent them. Well, you're hiding like everything within the iOS 12 betas, which you hand out now for free. We don't even have to pirate them anymore. And we're finding out all this new information. So today's video is about a bunch of the new rumors and assortment of leaks that we're getting from the iOS 12 betas, and also just some other stuff regarding all of the hardware that's rumored to be announced in September. So, a bit of good/bad news. More and more iOS 12 code is suggesting that dual SIM options will be brought with the new iPhones. Not sure if it's across all of them. Some reports are saying just the 6.1-inch LCD iPhone will have a dual SIM. The most logical explanation is that the 10 Plus would, because that's a much larger phone, so more room inside the phone for dual SIM options. I'm personally hoping that we have one physical SIM as well as an eSIM built in, just so we can get people used to having electronic SIM cards just built into the phone. I feel like that's Apple's more progressional way to do it, because they don't like opening up the SIM tray. They don't like opening up anything or having expandable storage or something like that. So why is manual SIM cards still a thing? Why don't they just build it into the phone by now? They can. So maybe this year they're moving their way towards that, and they'll have an eSIM but also a physical one, and they can be separate. But the bit of sad news is that it will most likely only be available in China or overseas, and not really here in the US, because it's more common over there for people to use them. So sadly, if you were hoping for a dual SIM option in which you could partner Verizon and Sprint into a single phone. I don't know if you can do that, can you? It might not be an option at Apple's home base in the United States, which is bizarre. Hopefully it is, but that's what some reports are saying. Next is one that I'm excited for because it confirms that perhaps the new iPad Pros are coming out just around the corner. I hope they at least unveil them in September. I don't need them to go on sale in September. It's okay if they come out later in November, but people are booting iOS 12 onto these new display resolutions that they're anticipating iPads to run at, and they're finding curved corners, which once again proves our concept ideas that yes, the next generation iPad is going to have curved corners, no home button, and it looks like the software is not being accompanied by a notch. So all of those terrible concepts out there that showed an iPad Pro with a notch, don't worry, I definitely don't think they needed to do that, and now I'm really happy to see that the iOS 12 developer beta codes are showing they're not anticipating a notch, the software is not being designed for one, so we should be all good to go on a one-size bezel iPad with no home button, no notch, only Face ID. Let's just hope that Face ID works in any orientation. Please, Apple, this is important to us. Steve Jobs would have very, very much liked it if you could still use the iPad in orientation like you can now. Even upside down. Not sure why they allow that, but you can do it. And on the train of confirming suspicions that many of us have predicted for this year's iPhones, we've also found some code hidden within iOS 12 showing that the iPhone 10 Plus, the 6.5-inch OLED phone, by far largest display we've ever had on an iPhone before, will yes indeed be getting a few software exclusives. A lot of people still ask that, like, other than the size, why should I get the 10 Plus? Well, these software codes are showing that just like the 8 Plus has a few software advantages over the regular iPhone 8, the 10 Plus will indeed carry those over. So in things like the calendar app, you can get more options, or I've only seen a couple concepts for this. I'm not even sure if Apple's up for this because the notch kind of throws things off, but perhaps even a landscape option for your home screen so that you can use the 10 Plus more exclusively in landscape if you so desire. But with that notch, how they handle the widgets on the side, they have to get pretty creative with, but the keyboard layout, the messages app, the calendar app, all things like that should be looking much more optimized and much more utilized on this much larger display, which is nearing like small iPad mini territory. When we're talking about a 6.5-inch display, like dang, my God, that's gonna be a big phone, and definitely my go-to phone of choice. And I, for one, am excited to see that there are software exclusives coming along with that larger display. It's not just, and the phone's bigger. There's also some other things that go with it. I haven't seen any leaked code or anything confirming that picture-in-picture idea I had, which is fine, because what I always said about the idea of bringing picture-in-picture to the iPhone is if they're able to do it in a way that's not intrusive but very intuitive in the way you're using your phone, then I'd be okay with picture-in-picture on the phone. But if Apple doesn't find a way to do it and it's not an intuitive way, then I'm okay with them leaving it out, because I've tried doing picture-in-picture on my Android phones I've tested, and I can't find a sweet spot. I feel like I'm always constantly moving it around, whether I'm texting or navigating apps. It's always getting in the way. And on the iPad Pro, it's a much larger display. You have a lot more freedom. You can put picture-in-picture somewhere and it's not too intrusive. Whereas on a phone, you're really, really competing with screen space on that. So I'm okay that it's not having it, but maybe someday they'll think of a way to make it a bit more intuitive than it is now. Maybe it moves around based upon what app you're using. We'll see. But the real grasping at straws thing here are people saying that iPhone 10 Plus Plus icon was confirmed in iOS 12 just by this very, very abstract and basic looking blue icon for the iPhone 10. And people are like, this is the Plus icon. It's like, do you know that? It has a notch and a side button. Does that confirm it's a 10 Plus? They're like, yes, it's different from the regular iPhone 10 button. But I'm looking at it going, I mean, couldn't they just make a different one for some reason? I don't know. Maybe they were just updating the last one. I'm not sure how this one necessarily confirms the Plus, other than it shows up as a larger file within the developer beta. So they're just like, this confirms it's the Plus model. I don't think we need that. I don't think that confirms anything, but we have a dozen other sources also confirming Apple's working on a 6.5-inch OLED version. So yeah, we can result to that. Also, in other news, the company that supplies Apple their Lightning to headphone jack adapters in their packages has confirmed that Apple will no longer be needing those to be included in every single iPhone purchase, which we talked about a few months ago in my What's Included with the new iPhones video. But this once again confirms from someone in the actual market that Apple is deciding this year it's the third generation of iPhone they've made that doesn't have a headphone jack, and a significant year given this is when Apple will stop most likely selling the iPhone 6S and 6S Plus, which means that the base model iPhone, if the rumors are true about them discontinuing the iPhone SE and not selling that anymore, the base cheapest iPhone from the Apple Store will be the iPhone 7, and yes, that has no headphone jack. I assume the iPhone 7 and 8s will keep including the headphone jack adapter, but this year's refresh of iPhones between the 9, the 10, and the 10 Plus, no more dongle. No more double dongle jokes, Samsung, okay? Let's get over it. You include adapters in your phones too, whatever. But a lot of people got upset over that. I feel like no one's going to stop in the middle of the purchasing process of an iPhone and be like, wait a minute, it doesn't come with a $9 adapter? Never mind, I'm done. I needed that thing. I needed that dongle. I don't think this is gonna stop anyone, but it definitely goes to show you the age of the headphone jack is dying fast. Yes, Samsung and other companies may be keeping it around, but their sales are much, much lower than that of the new iPhones, which none of which are keeping around the headphone jack. Third time in a row, and these are probably gonna crush all records, especially with this new budget iPhone 9 rumored to outsell basically all iPhones and Androids for the whole year. And again, we're not trying to say that it is a budget phone, it's just budget in relativeness to $900 and $1,000 iPhones coming out this year. Given last year, at least we got the iPhone 8s, those were a lot cheaper than the iPhone 10, but this year, everything's got Face ID, everything's missing Touch ID, so it'll be interesting to see how the sales do. So, quite an assortment of leaks just from iOS 12 beta code and external suppliers telling us what is and isn't going to come out. So now, hopefully you know what to expect, and in my personal opinion, I'm not terribly excited because all these rumors basically just confirmed what we already knew. It was like 10 Plus will get the landscape options, yep, good. Dual SIM, okay, good. iPad curved corners, good. Yeah, these code is confirming Apple just saw all the leaks and concepts we made and said, okay, let's do that. Which I guess is fine, but I'm much more excited to see how Google is going to try to sell the Pixel 3 in a way that's positive. Like in that keynote, be like, notches are cool, right? That's gonna be a much more interesting keynote. Apple's keynote is just gonna be like taking out the garbage this year. It's like, come on, we know, A12 chip, it's fast. Another mystery question though, is the new iPad's gonna be having an A12 chip or an A11X or an A11, or what do you think the CPU of the new iPad Pros are gonna be? Let me know in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.